What's up, everybody? GSL Code S is back. We're now halfway through the round of 16. It's been a great GSL so far. We've had a lot of fantastic games. Weirdly, we've ended each of our last 2 days with like some of the craziest games we've ever had.
Yeah, day one, day two, Group A and Group B both finished on high notes, and especially on day one, I felt really good about that last match that we had. It was a great way of coming back to the GSL here in 2023 and finishing on a high note.
Yeah.
After the first day, but here in Group C might be another really good day. Stats is back from his military service. He's competing again.
I am super excited to see how Stats plays. He's honestly always been an inspiration to me. He's like the one Protoss that will try to play almost always exclusively straight up, like try to last in the late game.
Yeah.
Not that the other players don't do that, but there's a little bit more of a variety. Like if you had like a scale, right? Like, okay, partying would be all the way over here, like lots of cheeses, lots of crazy stuff. Stats is actually all the way on the other end. And we don't have that many Protosses that play like that in StarCraft 2 when you look at it.
No, we used to have a couple more. Rain comes to mind when he was playing StarCraft 2 back in the old Star League days.
Right.
He would have this really kind of slow and passive play style that kind of mirrored what Stats also pioneered later in Legacy of the Void. But since Rain is retired, it really does feel like for a long time, Stats was the Protoss player carrying that kind of slow defensive macro play torch.
Right.
And we've kind of seen it in some online leagues over the past couple of weeks with, Stats like getting his feet wet, starting to compete again. I mean, it's been maybe, I want to say about 2 months since he started playing again, at least in online tournaments.
I think that's correct, yeah. And so I don't know how active he was in the military. That's another thing. Like some of these guys, they just don't play at all. Others have been, in their downtime, they'll ladder and grind. By the way, guys, this is all crowdfunded now. So if you want to support the prize pool, all this money, by the way, goes to the prize pool minus the small cut Patreon takes. This is the way to do it. Whether you are using dollars or whatever currency you want to donate, or if you want to donate star balloons.
Star balloons are so perfect.
We do take star balloons here.
Yeah, if you go to Africa TV, you can donate some star balloons.
Yeah.
Also, I think there is a new tier on Patreon, if I'm not mistaken, this Code A Plus tier between Code A and Code S. Because previously, the match replays were the $30 tier, which I know a lot of people wanted that, but very expensive, and it seems like GSL's brought that down to the $10 tier. So if you want to get your hands on some cool replays, as we've had some great games.
And those rewards go out on Monday.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know. So if you sign up, you don't see anything, it's coming, don't worry. But the support's appreciated. And honestly, I'm just glad to be back casting GSL. It's sad we had to downsize a little bit. We don't have the same publisher support that we had before. But I'll tell you what, man, the games, they speak for themselves.
Yeah, the game quality is the same. You know, it did feel a little bit different coming to the studio for the first time without having a live audience here at the GSL.
Sure.
But once we got into those first couple of games there in Group A, and especially the way that we finished the day on Group A, it's just kind of reminded me. It's like, no, actually, StarCraft 2, it's just the best RTS.
It's like, oh, that's why we're doing this, right?
Yeah.
Because these games are so good. I should also mention on the final day, we're going to have the Final Four and the finals itself all together. You can come to our studio and attend that. So if you've been wanting to come and see some live StarCraft 2, do that. It's going to be Thursday, not next week's Thursday, but the week after that. So we'd love to have you guys come down. You could say hi to State and me. We'll be here. Anyways, here's the round of 16 so far. As you can see, we've had 3 Terrans advance. Maru, Byun, and Cure. Solar is our 1 Zerg, and we should mention that we had almost no Zergs to start this GSL. So if Dark advances, then we're only going to have 2 Zergs in the top 8. Kind of weird, but that's what we got.
No Zerg in Group D. Solar the only Zerg so far to advance. Thus far as DRG was eliminated, but the main storyline for me has been that we don't have any Protoss yet in the next round of the GSL Code S.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, I guess it's no shocker that Nightmare didn't make it, but the fact that Hero got knocked out, I think that's been basically the biggest plot twist of the round of 16. I do think we're going to have Dark advance.
I think so, too.
With Stats, I just have more questions than answers, honestly. I mean, we'll see where Ryung and GuMiho are at. And then Group D, which is going to be this Thursday. No Zergs in that group.
No. Yeah. 2 Protoss, 2 Terran, should be a lot of fun.
Might be a little bit of a quicker day as well here.
Yeah, TVP tends to be a little bit shorter these days in the current meta. And matchups today, game number 1 is going to be against, Dark versus Stats, and then we'll have a TVT with Ryung versus GuMiho after that. And I'm right there with you. I feel like Dark is definitely the favorite to get out of this group. No questions asked. I mean, maybe if Stats was back in his peak form as he was 3 years ago, that would be a different story. But as it is now, it almost feels like it's going to be a competition for second place. But Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll be surprised here. Maybe Ryung or GuMiho, they've been practicing a lot recently. Maybe they have something special to show us.
Well, and Hero got knocked out, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I certainly, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't have predicted that, right? So,
No.
but yeah, Dark is always so solid, so strong. So I imagine he gets out first. But it will depend on what kind of shape Stats is in. I think a lot of today is also going to depend on how exactly GuMiho plays. He does have sort of a weird, almost fourth race approach to the game where he doesn't really play Terran like anybody else, so it's kind of hard to talk about the current meta and then try to relate it into his play. And here we have, this is Dark in his room.
That's an interesting setup there by that door, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to make heads and tails of exactly what that is.
I want to go buy him some posters to put on that wall, man. I almost feel like he must have just moved in there and he's getting stuff set up. We're starting to see. I think there's some trophies behind him. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do judge each room that we see here. So
I mean, it is rare getting this kind of glimpse into. A lot of these players, they don't stream from home.
Right.
Playing StarCraft 2, it's not as popular for the Korean StarCraft scene. So it is interesting to kind of get a look at this. It looks like Stats here.
This is
his home.
I'm having a lot of solidarity with Stats because this is where exactly in the same spot in my house or my stream setup.
Oh yeah, that's true. This looks exactly like
I have that same window to my side with a thing over it. I have a bookshelf.
I can see the corner of the door. This is like this.
This is the small, same. Yeah, this is that small weird corner in my house. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to see how Stats is going to do today. I have a lot of questions about exactly where he is at.
Right.
I've been trying to kind of catch up and tune into some of his games as he has been playing in a lot of, the crowd-funded leagues that have been taking place in Korea and some of the cups as well. But, since he's only been competing again for about 2 months, there really isn't that much to digest. So it's hard to say exactly where he is, especially because, GSL, even though we have downsides, it is still that format where you actually do have time to prepare special builds for your opponents, given the group stage format. So maybe Stats has something special cooked up. One thing I do want to harp on is his PvZ, it doesn't seem as shaky as his PvT is right now. His PvT seems very weak. He's played, I think, 8 matches online against Korean Terrans since coming back from military service, and I believe he's lost 7 of them.
Right.
Specifically against Korean Terrans. I don't know about the foreigner stats, but PvZ, maybe he can make an upset here against Dark.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. I feel like there's like an anime vibe going on here with Dark, with the all light on one side, and I almost feel like we're getting a Batman villain origin story here. Like he's going to become Two-Face with his background here.
Yeah.
Lighting on just one side. Like which Dark are we going to see? Are we going to see the light Dark or the evil Dark? But yeah, this should be a fun one. Again, it's very exciting that Stats is back. He's a player I certainly missed. I really enjoyed his approach. It was always very different to kind of see what he's doing and then see all the other crazy stuff the other Protoss players are trying to do.
Yeah.
Where he's very much, and it's not to say he might not, I mean, he might choose, who knows, but generally he's got the best approach to like a long, stable macro game. Anyways, our game has now loaded up, guys. This is game 1 in Group C of Season 1, the GSL Code S. Let's go.
DKZ Gaming, Dark.
What is that in the drawing in the background? Is that an Ultralisk?
It kind of looks like a Carbot Zergling or something.
Oh,
but
maybe
it's
you're
hard,
right.
Hard to tell.
Almost like a Carbot Infestor.
It might be. Dark does love his Infestors. He likes all those wonky Zerg units. Swarm hosts and Infestors.
So we had a probe sent out immediately, but this doesn't necessarily mean anything cheesy's coming.
No, it's...
Unless we have like a forge or something. No, okay, so it's just going to be a gateway coming down here.
He just wants Dark to take the forward third base and have a little bit more idle time with those drones trying to transfer in. Also, potentially create some opportunities for the Adept is Dark. Kind of curious. Oh, man. I like this. Comes in with the second Overlord, able to move that to the natural expansion, sees the probe, decide that Dark has probably placed the hatchery down at the third base, and then Dark just swoops in, retakes the natural. It's nice for him.
So, yeah, I mean, watching Stats, again, now that he's back, I'm most interested, like we said before the game actually started, how exactly does he approach this? Because he really does hinge his success on stability. And I got to say, I think that playing several long macro slow games as Protoss in StarCraft 2 is probably one of the hardest things to pull off at the pro GSL level.
It feels like there's a lot of opportunities for your opponent to kill you. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
a little bit less so in PvZ, but certainly in PvT, it does feel that
I
way.
think it has some of the same features of like Terran and Terran vs. Protoss and StarCraft 1, where there's like just a lot of moments where you're like, actually, if you get in there like right at this time, there's a lot that can go wrong. Doesn't mean that it can't be done, but there are these vulnerabilities, and I think it's even more true in StarCraft 2. But I mean, he did make it work in the past. And so I want to see, is he going to reinvent himself, or is he going to bring that kind of classic stats macro style out here?
So what Stats has been doing so far, at least in the online leagues, against both Zerg and Terran opponents, is it seems like he's trying to kind of regain his footing here in StarCraft 2, where it's a very difficult thing for Protoss to come back from a long break if you weren't playing and learn all of the different quirky builds that you can use to throw off your opponents. Instead, so it seems like Stats is just trying to come up with some kind of cookie cutter openings where he can branch out of in both these matchups. And so I imagine both in PvT and in PvZ today, we're going to see him opening very similar to the way that he's doing right now, which is adept into Stargate. In PvT, he's been favoring Phoenixes.
Yeah.
You okay?
I just hit my arm. I just hit my arm into the table. Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Right. Worried about you.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
But yeah, as I was saying, in PvZ, it feels like Stats. Mostly he's going to be opening Stargate Oracle like this into a third base, and then from there he kind of branches off in a couple different pathways that he can go. And in PvT it's kind of the same thing, but in PvT favoring Phoenix openings into a third base and then Colossus. So we'll see if he tries to reinvent himself a little bit here in the GSL Code S, considering you do have that extra time to prepare specifically for your opponents in this league format.
And not to mention as well, I mean, like, there's just not a lot of Zergs here. Like, I mean, Stats is a GSL champion. There's times where he's looked like he might be the best in the world, on certain given days. But yeah, whatever he thinks is the best thing to do in this matchup, he's going to do it now because this is dark.
Right.
And frankly, this is the best Zerg in the tournament right now. So you get this out of the way and move on. You're good to go.
Yeah, we'll see exactly where he decides to go from here. So I think it's 2 Oracles on the field right now, actually going for a 3rd Oracle. As of yet, not able to find any damage. His Stats. And Dark being quite passive here with his drone transfers too. Nothing here at this third base quite yet. Spore crawlers being made.
Yeah.
Nice safe play, zoning out these Oracles as well.
Oracle's not even going to get close to getting anything just yet. There is a 3rd Oracle being made. That's not always common. So we do see some players stop at 1 or 2. But I would imagine he won't get more than 3. We'll see. And so that 3rd Nexus is coming up here. And so far, Stats is basically playing kind of how we expected. I mean, I'm not talking about 3 Oracles, but just getting a 3rd base, having enough adepts that you kind of can't be killed by anything. And we've got a Nidus network coming down here.
Yeah, we've got a Nidus network coming in, so Dark feeling a little bit aggressive here in game number 1 against Stats. As so far, Stats unaware of that Nidus network. Looks like he's going to try and put on some pressure here with these handful of adepts and these 3 Oracles. But keep in mind, the queen count, it's quite high. These adepts,
oh my God.
definitely going to cancel those.
But had he gone up the ramp, he would have seen the Nidus.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's a really unfortunate miss there. Look, this is basically, if we were going to see Stats lose, this is probably the way to do it, is some kind of very sharp attack that's going to come in and decapitate him before the game really picks up. Now, I thought the Nidus was going to be made in the main, but in fact, it's going to be made just in between the 3rd base and the 2nd base.
Yeah, Dark sends in the Overlords to the main base and sees there's no gaps in Stats' vision, so instead going to be pushing here between the natural and the 3rd. And these queens, it's a lot of lings as well. It's going to be tough for Stats to defend this. And now Nidus Canal going up in the main base. Shield battery finished here at the natural expansion. That Nidus is getting reloaded right now with lings back at the home base.
There is a cannon that's warped in over here at the natural.
Stats is unaware of this, so this is going to do a lot of damage.
And I love the double Nidus. I almost wish we saw this a little bit more here. He is going to try to target down that Nidus. I only see two.
Oh, it can't transfuse. Oh, it barely gets on a creep spread. Oh my goodness.
The transfuses are insane.
Barely. And there's another Nidus.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, that's exactly why you want to get 2. Those transfuses were wild, man. And now, all the infrastructure is under threat right now. He's going to get another Nidus. He's actually bringing this right out in the front to just rally more units on top of this. There's only 1 Oracle left. It's extremely low on HP. It could be sniped by these queens, and it is. And am I wrong? I feel like this game is almost over here. I would imagine with the next plume of Lings that comes out, we're just going to see Stats have to tap out.
I think it has to be. I mean, there's 2 gateways in the Stargate right here in the main base about to be unpowered. I don't think these shield batteries are going to get up. 20 more Lings in production. Those will be reinforcing very soon. And Stats for now, he's trying his best to hold on, but this is looking quite dire. I mean, I feel like it's going to take a miracle here. That's so many queens, and yep, Stats taps out. Dark takes game number 1 in quite rapid fashion with that Nidus Canal play.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do, right? The problem when you're known for being a macro player, like this actually, you know who's probably the most famous in all of StarCraft history for this was Hydra. Was just like everybody knew that he like was really good at macro and never cheesed, so everybody's like, and the thing is, sorry,
Still getting used to the faster transitions here.
It's so funny. Anyways, what was I saying?
You're talking about Hydra and how he's he's one of those players that, you know,
everybody
is not
knows
known to cheese.
Yeah, everybody knows he's good at macro, so it's like, well, if he always does that, there's always going to be a timing that you can do. It's why randomization in your play style is important. You want to, you know, despite what people say about cheese or any of that stuff, you want to have a couple cheese builds ready to go so that you're unpredictable. And, I mean, I guess if Stats was going to lose in any way with his classic style, it would be a Nidus.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that story time and time again, and often it feels like Dark is the player that's doing it to Protoss here at the GSL for those Nidus Canals. But, I mean, for Stats, that's a little bit of an unlucky draw. We'll see if he's able to turn it around here as we're getting ready to load up our game. Set number 2 will be played on ESL Grezvin. Dark versus Stats. Dark needing 1 more win to go to the winner's match.
Yeah, hopefully a little bit of a longer game here, too.
Yeah.
The last one was a little bit too short for my liking.
DKZ Gaming. Dark.
What is it? What is that in the background?
It might be.
I think it's actually a person on a computer, kind of a pink.
It does seem like there's like some
Quantum
emoji-looking
Freaks.
person in front of,
It
in the
be
bottom right.
It could be a drawing of Stats and his PC over here with that brown thing in the background.
It's the Nidus Canal that's popping in his face, foreshadowing it.
Yeah. That was the secret. That was the Easter egg. He had a strategy on a drawing on the wall.
Oh man, I wish I was good at these games. I would do fun stuff like that if I was still a good player, but I don't have the skill. I don't have the skill.
No, you're in the retirement home with me right now.
Yeah.
We're talking about it.
All right, so we're gonna have another cheeky strategy here from Dark. Took a very roundabout pattern to get here, and it's gonna be a proxy hatch outside of the base of Stats. And you know, I love seeing this kind of quirky play coming out of Dark, and it's exciting. Don't get me wrong, but I am a little bit sad that I'm not seeing what Stats really has in store for us. Like, welcome back to the GSL, Stats. Here's the Nidus Canal and a proxy hatchery.
Yeah, good to have you back here. Now, get out of here. I'm going on to the winner's match. Wow. All right, so, you know, when Protoss wall in at their entrance, you know, it makes you safe for later parts of the game, but obviously in a moment like this, it's actually a vulnerability. Now he's going to see the hatchery, so good read there. Maybe Dark a little bit too cavalier with how close that is. Do you know exactly what type of rush this is? Because there's always a couple different things you can do.
He's getting gas, so I imagine
Just
that
roaches?
We're going to have roaches or ravagers mixed in with this. I mean, it could be for speed, but I kind of doubt that. I don't know. Whatever Dark cooks up, though, I'm sure it's going to be good. It's going to be potent, and I kind of like the hatchery placement, even though it is quite, as you said, cavalier, being this far forward, because, you know, once Stats scouts all the possible expansions there for Dark, he knows that something's up, and it's going to be a Roach War in here. Speed also underway, so Dark really investing a lot into these early units. And shield battery's going to be coming up here for Stats. We'll see if he just decides to try to hold this with gateway units, if he throws down another gateway, or what exactly the play is going to be.
Good block with the probe there.
That's nice.
So, you know, if you can kill the hatchery, you've stopped the rush. There is 2 batteries being warped in right now. The first queen's about to hatch. We've got not enough Lings for the time being to really make a difference, especially Lings without speed are just so bad against Stalkers, it's crazy.
Yeah, the problem is this hatchery is going to kick in with its production, I think, before the Stalkers are actually able to kill it.
I think so.
I think the most likely scenario is that Stat's going to get it to like 15% HP, and then from then, Dark, you know, his roaches are going to pop, he's going to have a Lings, and soon after that he's going to have speed, and then Stats is going to be purely on defense.
Yeah,
And
I think you're right about that. I mean, if he does kill the hatchery, then probably Protoss just wins the game, and this game will be even shorter than the Nidus game. The Lings are going to come forward now, and they are beginning to chip away at this one Zealot. We've got Now, Ravagers are going to be what actually allows you to win this fight, is when you can start to, artillery down anything they've got in defense. Batteries are being made. There's still 2 batteries warping in, and then 2 batteries that have some energy on them. Dark has to be very careful to not overextend. Excellent catch there with the Zealot. That's just a little bit less damage now overall. Stats is still trying to hit this hatchery. I think he's exactly not going to make it, though.
yeah, seems like Dark just knows his build inside and out. And right now, he's kicking in here. His early speed is done, able to get surround here on that Adept. It will go down despite that shield battery healing it. We have a lot of shield batteries behind this gateway wall.
Really good micro back there with the Ravagers. I gotta say,
Stats is controlling this really well, though.
Yeah.
The lean count, it is not
That's it.
grown at all. And Stats, he's just able to snowball enough stalkers and just kind of dispatch that build quite quickly. It seems like Dark tried to go for a skill check here. That did not really pan out.
yeah, I would be a little salty if I was Stats. I'd be like, seriously? What are we doing?
Where's the respect?
Yeah, where's the respect for me, man? That was there you go. I guess if you can do enough damage to the hatchery, because that's what was going to happen. The hatchery's going to get picked off, and once the hatchery's dead, I mean, Zerg literally is on 1 hatchery.
Yeah,
There's
Stats
nothing
controlled
worse.
that very well. He got so much value out of it. I think it was only 1 Zealot and 1 Adept, if I'm not mistaken, that entire time. And
Yeah.
They bought
can I
enough-
make a critique here? I think you
Yeah.
need to put the hatchery further back.
that might be part
If
of
the
it.
Stalkers can get out and hit that hatchery and get out that far, like if the Stalkers are going to leave, you want to really feel like you have to actually move out. I mean, if you put that like half a screen length down,
Or even maybe just a couple more tiles, because that actually
Yeah.
is a good point. If you're able to threaten a surround on the Stalkers outside of shield battery range, then maybe you can actually make something happen there in the dark. But
all right, well, we're going to go to Royal Blood in this rapid best of 3. Let's see who's going to take this. One of these 2 will go on to the winner's match here, the GSL Code S.
feels like we're speedrunning this one.
I know.
DKZ Gaming. Dark.
Just need to get a bookshelf back there, maybe some posters.
Interior designer Tasteless here to save the day.
Oh, yeah.
Guangdong Freaks. Stats.
I'm going to be critical.
Yeah, you've got a nice apartment.
I'm gonna go out here. I'm gonna make some people mad right now. Is what I'm gonna say. I watch a lot of streams. Okay, Koreans don't decorate their streaming rooms.
Maybe the StarCraft players don't too much, but
I've watched a lot. My girlfriend's Korean. She also watches streams. I've seen a lot of Korean.
is this a
streams.
trend?
It's just like it's just like lots of white walls.
Yeah.
You know. Get some posters. Get some action figures.
Now I'm getting self-conscious
Maybe get
in my own streaming
maybe
setup
get a
back
big
at
I
home.
bet yeah. I bet your room looks like an asylum room too, doesn't it? It's just,
yeah.
yeah.
I know Taze is
when
actually
you're not
okay.
when you're not playing StarCraft, you're in your straitjacket, banging your head on the wall in there. Like, yeah, man, decorate. You know who's got a great streaming room? Maximilian, dude. Have you seen his room?
I think it's been a while since I've seen his streaming room. Has he got like all the lights set up and everything like that?
It's got lights. It's got cool action figures and posters and classic games back there. Now, who had a good streaming room in this GSL? Solar did.
Yeah, Solar had
He had a
good
cool
one.
room. And he had little dogs walking around, little coach dogs back there. That was fun.
Solar's married, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
That's probably why his room
Oh,
is...
maybe his wife did that. Yeah.
That's probably why his room is looking so good.
That could be.
Us StarCraft gamers,
Yeah,
we don't have
yeah.
we don't have the brain capacity for that. We're too busy.
Yeah. It's either I found with StarCraft people, it's either their homes are not decorated or they never listen to music. It's one of those 2 things. With the people you meet, where you're like, you just don't listen to music. You just don't go to concerts. Like, no. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. It is interesting when you get to like the upper echelons of really any kind of field, and StarCraft 2 is one of those fields.
Yeah.
You kind of get to some outliers, and yeah, there definitely is a trend in terms of a lot of pro players that stream but aren't professional streamers.
Yeah.
Just kind of being in the exact same setup that we've seen time and time again here at the GSL.
It's so funny.
And you watch like these other guys stream. Like if they stream full time, if that's their main source of income as opposed to sponsorships or tournament winnings, then yeah, they're gonna put a lot of effort into it.
It is fun to decorate a stream room though. be like, what's the cool gamer stuff? I'm gonna put it all here. I've got a lot of cool ones in my room too. I've got
that bookshelf thing
I've
going
got a
on.
bookshelf. I've got some cool drawings. Got some Tastosis memorabilia. I've got original version of Chrono Trigger. It's unopened.
Wow.
Yeah, all sorts of cool stuff like that.
We got a little bit of a Ling run by here. I'm surprised these ones got in.
This Ling is actually going to kill a probe. There's 2 probes that have been killed so far. This is actually highly unusual, by the way.
Oh, almost lost 3. That was close. And this is quite a bit of idle time, too, but only for a couple of probes. I mean, losing 2 probes this early, it sucks here for Stats. And I wonder if we're going to see the same build as we saw in game number 1. This is, again, kind of his bread and butter, is this very standard. I mean, it's not that only Stats is the one doing this, right?
Yeah.
You know, gateway into Adepts, into Oracles is just about as basic as it gets here. And oh no, we have another run by coming in.
Okay,
Adepts were just a moment ago. This is kind of falling apart.
Where were the Adepts, though?
I think they had just moved out of the natural ramp. So they're already back here. I mean, not only is Dark getting 3 probes in total, but this is so much scouting. He knows exactly where Stats is set up. And look at Stats' mineral bank, too. He wants these units to be securing a 3rd Nexus right now. He's at 400 minerals, but instead, these Adepts are just kind of playing ring around the rosy here with these Zerglings. And this is one of those things that I guess you kind of lose your touch for a little bit. Oh God.
Dude, this is almost too much.
Yeah, it's the 4th probe going down. I mean, again, Stats, like, he's just back here, and this is his first GSL Kodos appearance. I mean, we're going to see him improve a lot over the next couple of months, I think.
For sure. But, like, let's call a spade here for a second. Like, go back in all the GSL games in your memory. How often have you seen probes die like that?
It caught us off guard, even the first couple of Lings coming in and getting 2 probes, and then it happens again with 2 more probes going down. It's
exactly.
Highly unusual.
And losing a couple workers early on, that is a very big deal. That does kind of curb all of your growth overall.
I mean, 4 probes right now is 10% of his economy. That's a lot of units that you're missing out on potentially over the course of the next couple of minutes, as Stats going to struggle a little bit to saturate this 3rd base, and he's going to throw down a Twilight Council and a Forge now behind this. 3 Oracles once again here for Stats. I think that he hasn't really been able to get too much done of these because he's been so preoccupied with the harassment going on in his own base. But if there's been damage, it's been very minimal here from Stats. Okay, this is something he needed. He's going to trade one of these Oracles for some much-needed drone kills. Actually, no Spore Crawler here, so you're able to get a couple more. And that evens things up a little bit, but still...
There's a Nidus network.
Oh, there's another one!
Yeah, I almost didn't even notice it.
That's a good thing you caught that before we moved back to the Units tab. I did not notice.
I honestly would not have noticed it had he not tagged it there. So now I assume that he saw that. Every once in a while you'll have somebody who will fly over that and just kind of not identify, like think it's an Evo chamber or something like that. But I mean, you would have to imagine if you have literally about a minute and a half before that Nidus network is going to pop up, you should have enough time to react.
Yeah, we have cannons and batteries.
Stalkers patrolling in case it's in the main. It is, in fact, going to be outside the 3rd base here. It's going to be Ravagers and Zerglings.
Queen count right now at 6. 52 drones here for Dark as the Queens pop out. Surprised we're not having any creep timbers, but I guess Dark just really wants to keep the tempo here and continuously pressure here with these Nidus canals. And all right, here we go. Bile going to come down. That cannon will get canceled. Stalker count very low here for Stats, so not a lot of power with this Protoss army yet.
I do feel,
okay.
Now, you know what? If he kills the Robo, he probably wins the game.
I don't think these probes are going to be able to get that Nidus Swarm close enough for the Stalkers to actually finish it in time. We'll see. Things popping out. No Queens here to transfuse, so Dark not really committing to that natural expansion too much there, just kind of focusing his energies over here on the 3rd base. There's only 1 shield battery here. I think Stats still is hanging on to that overcharge. Has to be very careful about when he uses it. Defense much better here in Game 3 than in Game 1.
I almost feel like Stats is going to hold this.
He might. I think that shield battery might have just gone down there at the 3rd. And
oh, it did. Now, yeah, once you have enough Ravagers, you can blow up the shield battery, and then that's when the damage just spikes. And now, like, I remember like 10 seconds ago when I said like you might hold this, I'm looking at this, I'm like, no way, dude.
It's just a powerful army.
So much coming out here.
Oh, the SimCity here, not ideal for Stats either. Those Stalkers actually getting blocked. And I like the idea here with the counter harassment, but the Nidus Canal, I mean, it goes both ways, right? Can reinforce as some Queens come back home to defend this. And that's only 6 drones going down. As compensation, Dark took out the 3rd base there for Stats. Stats desperately trying to remake one over at the 12 o'clock position, and you gotta kill this photon cannon, I think, man. Is there actually no path outside of that natural expansion? It kind of looks like it.
It seems like it. Well, he's trying to get Blink.
Oh, that's what he's waiting for, yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to get that upgrade done here. The issue with the way that this is like shaped, this entrance, is that you can't actually have all your units fight. It's like this really boxy hallway. It's hard to dodge biles. Remember that, you know, even with Blink finishing, if this cybernetics core dies, you can't make stalkers anyways.
That's going to take a while to rebuild that one. Another Nidus Canal pops there at the third base, so Stats just sitting here on 2 bases for now. Oh, Immortal actually did get taken down there by a bile, so with pure Ravager here, Dark just raining down hell on Stats, and I'm liking Dark's position here a lot, man.
And I only see 1 pylon, by the way, up at that natural.
Oh, you might be right.
Yeah. And so if he blows that 1 pylon up, I mean, I think we're done.
Bank right now for Stats. He desperately wants to make Stalkers right now, but
yeah, it's piling up over 1,000 minerals now.
yeah, both supply block and waiting for the Cybernetics core to finish is a bummer, to be sure. Disruptor is now in production here for Stats, so there might be an opportunity for him to stabilize, but I feel like the path forward from stabilization for Stats is just a longer and more drawn-out death, as much as I hate to say it. This has been a long time without having a third base. He's suffered a lot of economic damage, only at 50 workers.
Yeah.
Dark has complete map control, even has creep spread on Stats' side of the map because of that Nidus Canal.
Yeah, we may still be in this game, but that doesn't mean it's not over.
Actually, Swarm Host coming out here for Dark, so.
Oh, God. Yeah, the Swarm Hosts are probably the best way to just punish a kind of encamped, turtled Protoss, is just chip away at him over time.
Especially without too many Stargate units out right now. I mean, only 2 Oracles here for Stats, and let's have that bank. All right, Disruptor Shot coming in. Actually is a pretty good one. Gets 3 Ravagers, but I mean, this army is just so massive here for Dark, and it seems like he wants to send himself to the winner's match tasteless.
Yeah, this is looking pretty grim. Unfortunately, it seems that Stats is probably about to go to the loser's match here in Group C of the GSL. And yeah, there it is, in 3 very short and cheesy games.
Double Nidus and a proxy hatchery. Dark gonna take the series 2-1. I'm a little sad that we didn't get to see exactly what Stats had in store for us, because I'm sure that he had a game plan that extended past getting killed at like the 8-minute mark in a lot of these games. But
we're never going to see what he was going to do.
Maybe we will. Maybe we'll have some crazy upset here in the winners match, although I do still feel like Dark is probably the favorite to advance from this group.
I think he's going to win. Yeah. I mean, if we're going to be honest here, he's likely going to move on. Up next, we have a TVT coming up here. It's going to be GuMiho versus Ryung. I'm curious to see exactly how GuMiho is going to play. He always has kind of a novel take on any matchup, on any map, against any player.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like the 4th race, and it kind of harkens back to the period in the early StarCraft 2 days where he actually played random.
That's right.
mean, he's got a lot of flavor to his Terran play for sure.
Yeah. We're going to go to that break now. We'll be right back with your next match in just a little bit.